The excitement is building for the upcoming title, guys, The Kingsman. And this is a title, guys, I'm really excited about because this is Kingsman 3, right? And, up to this point, I love what they started with this series, with this franchise as a whole. Absolutely blew my mind. I never really thought I was going to actually enjoy the first movie and absolutely loved it. The second one I loved as well. And I can't wait to see where this story is going moving forward. And so I want to talk about in this segment of the show everything that we know about the Kingsman and everything that we know about this story, about this world, and I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. In an article, guys, written by Jerica Tisdale of Cinema Blend, The Kingsman is the third entry in the Kingsman franchise. It's not exactly Kingsman 3 because it's a prequel film, but it is an important film in the franchise. It dives deeper in the history of the organization and introduces fans of the franchise to a new set of characters and stories about them. The Kingsman will expand the universe and help fans wait for Kingsman 3 and Taron Egerton and Colin Firth. The Kingsman is one of the highly anticipated 2021 movies, so let's explore and see what we know about it. So, yes, guys, this is very much so on a lot of people's, most anticipated list. It's certainly up there for me as well. Obviously, not having, Colin Firth as well as Taron Egerton in it, obviously, it's going to tamper, my excitement a little bit, but I gotta say, I'm excited just to continue seeing the evolution of this franchise. It sounds like they really want to create something special long-term. They want to build this story out. I love that concept. It sounds like they really want to kind of move in a direction where there's a long withstanding franchise here. Something similar to maybe James Bond and movies of that nature. Something that withstands the test of time. And they're really trying to do that by building the franchise in the story and even going back in time before, a lot of the events of what we've seen up to this point. So it's set for release, guys, December 22 of 2021. The Kingsman went into production in 2018, began filming in early 2019. Its original release date was set for November 15, 2019, but by February 2019, it was moved to a February 14, 2020 release date. In November 2019, it was moved from February to September 18, 2020. Then in 2020, the pandemic hit, and many movies had to delay the releases. In August 2020, The Kingsman was pushed from September to February 26th of 2021. In January 2021, it received an August 2021 release date. Now The Kingsman has settled on a December 22nd, 2021 release date. The film could be moved yet again in the upcoming months, but it's highly likely that The Kingsman will premiere on its current December date because the recent box office numbers seem to indicate that movie fans are returning to the theater. This means that The Kingsman could possibly perform well during the Christmas 2021 box office season. So a lot going on here. Now, the first thing, and you guys have probably are aware, we talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel, when I see that there's a release date and it's been moved multiple times, there's something that goes off, it's like a red flag to me. That is concerning. And the reason is, guys, obviously, minus the pandemic, okay? It got delayed before the pandemic even hit, right? And so it was getting delayed. What that tells me is that there's either creative differences or potentially there's a development hell perspective going on here where the movie is just having a tough time, right? In production, like I said, maybe there's creative differences going on. Maybe there's not. Maybe they just want to take their time making sure the movie is perfect, and I'm totally behind that. But when I see a movie getting delayed in a major way a number of times, it does concern me. That being said, though, guys, that's not going to, bring my excitement down, right, for the movie. The Kingsman includes a cast of new characters led by Ralph Fiennes and Harris Dickinson. In The Kingsman, Ralph Fiennes plays the lead character, the Duke of Oxford. He appears to be the one who establishes the Kingsman and recruits other members. One of the main characters is Conrad, played by Harris Dickinson. He's the Duke's son. Gemma Arterton and Jimon Hunsi play two other Kingsman members, Polly and Shola. Stanley Tucci will be playing either the original or another Merlin. Mark Strong played Merlin in the first two Kingsman movies. So, to say the least, they've got a pretty stellar cast here. I mean, for sure. Now, Kingsman fans may recognize that name because it's Eggsy, which is Taron Egerton's father's name. This could mean that Taylor Johnson will play a younger version of Eggsy's father, or he'll be playing his grandfather, even great-grandfather. Based on the time period of when The Kingsman is set, it makes the most sense for him to be Eggsy's great-grandfather, unless The Kingsman is about to introduce time travel into the franchise, which would be very, very interesting to say the least. One familiar presence Kingsman fans can expect is director Matthew Vaughn, who also directed the first two movies, and that's where I get a ton of excitement. Matthew Vaughn is still helming these movies, and that's that's just really encouraging, guys, that we're not seeing another director come in. Usually, I get a little bit nervous when the same director is making, multiple movies in the same franchise, because I think it's always good to have a new director, have that director's vision for the future of the franchise. But Matthew Vaughn, it seems like he's going to be very hands-on deck here for this title. He may even direct another one in the Kingsman franchise, and then I would say maybe he'll pass the torch off, because then at that point, it's good to have, other people bring in their creative, efforts and minds when it comes to these movies of this magnitude. Now, the time period here, Kingsman takes place in the early 1900s and is set during World War I. The plot synopsis describes the film as one man's journey to stop terrible criminals and masterminds from creating a war that would wipe out millions. Because The Kingsman takes place in the early 1900s, Vaughn used old films for inspiration. Very interesting. I'm excited about that. So The Kingsman lays the groundwork for The Kingsman 3. Though The Kingsman won't be a direct sequel, it will influence future entries in the Kingsman franchise. In an interview with Empire, Matthew Vaughn revealed that The Kingsman will have a connection to Kingsman 3. He said, "We've put seeds for what's going to happen in Kingsman 3 all the way back into this, and it's going to be very different." In 2019, Edgerton confirmed to comicbook.com that a script had already been written for Kingsman 3. Also in 2019, Vaughn told Digital Spy that it would be the final chapter of Eggsy and Harry, Colin Firth's relationship. However, it won't be the end of the Kingsman franchise. Very interesting. You got to remember that, guys, that it's not the end of the franchise. So it's interesting because The Kingsman addresses modern day topics. It may take place in the early 1900s, but it still has topics that speak to a modern audience. Vaughn spoke to Cinema Blend and had this to say: "That was odd about this film. It's very relevant to a modern audience. I want kids to see that when crazy people are running the world, things can get out of control very, very quickly. I think we're in a political climate which is very similar to the pre-World War I climate, where nobody thought there could be a war, and then there was a war and nobody understood why there was a war." Very interesting concepts here by Matthew Vaughn for sure. The Kingsman has released multiple trailers. You guys can check those out. Lots of really cool trailers, guys, for The Kingsman. And yes, I got to tell you guys, this is certainly climbing the list of my most anticipated movies of the rest of this year. I'm really excited to see this movie. I really hope, though, that they can stick to that, December release date, because obviously we've been waiting a long time for this. I want this to release, guys, and yes, more and more people are going back to the movie theaters, and I got to say, I'm very, very excited about this. Even though I'm a little bit concerned about how many times it was delayed in the past, that does give me a little bit of some hesitation, but nonetheless, I'm still really excited about it. Let me know, though, guys, are you excited about The Kingsman? What do you guys think about it? Where do you think they're going with the story? How do you think it's going to connect to Kingsman 3? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more The Kingsman content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.